others live their lives. That Muhammad, Krishna, or the Buddha are the way. Still some believe it's right to say in the name of Jesus when you pray. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Some say God's a him, and still many believe that he is a her. Does God live in our hearts, or is she somewhere out there in the universe? We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. How far will we have to go before we learn the lesson? Gandhi was a Hindu, Martin Luther King a Christian. Regardless of religion, they knew love was the mission, and it all comes down to one. Is there no God at all, or a pantheon of gods up in the sky? We can heal our broken heart if we give up the desire to be right. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and we all want the same things: health, love, prosperity, and peace. Tolerance is the seed, and the gift of your acceptance is the tree. We are a humankind of 7 billion. So many different races and religions, and it all comes down to one. Whether you are red, brown, yellow, black, or white, a man with a husband or a woman with a wife, we can debate until the end of time who's wrong and who is right, but we can see ourselves as one, 'cause it all comes down to love.
Purpose statement. Our purpose is to create a spiritual community that recognizes that there is one presence and one power in the universe, God. Daily, we actively practice this spiritual truth. We open our heart space to each person to acknowledge one another as expressions of God. It is in each other that we see God.
morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to today's Open Heart Spiritual Center virtual service. Thank you for joining us today, this wonderful, magnificent, beautiful day. We're so grateful to have you. And if you'll join me in just taking a breath in and releasing this breath, releasing all that has come before this time. Release it and let it go. Be present, be here and now. And just join me here as we just bless this service, bless all that play a part in today's service, all that have a part in today's service. The beautiful music, the affirmative reading, and the message. Yes, the message. And let us just open our hearts up to allow our message to pour right on in, pour right into your heart, and to take forth with you from this day what it is that you're here to know. What are you here to know? And I just greet you, I bless you, and I see the God in you. And let this celebration begin. And so it is.
All right, here we go. All right, okay. I ain't got my remote.
So do you have to hold that or?
Here we go.
I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from yesterday, mistakes of the past.
Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that
I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and it's mine.
I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know
divine spirit is directing me right now. I am cloaked in the spirit. I am fed by the divine.
I am one with all there is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed, and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that? Don't it feel good? Just to know that my soul is free from time. All I gotta do is change my mind. I'm free. Don't it feel good? And I'm falling and it should. All right. That's it, y'all. She's done. All right.
What comes from the heart reaches the heart. Good morning and welcome to our Heartstream. For this Sunday, February the 18th, I'm so glad you have joined us for this morning's Heartstream. Thank you for always being a part of this experience. We continue in this Black History Month to provide you with information about the pioneers of science of mind, the religious science that are provided by our friends for the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, and grateful to show those. I know I do that every year. the idea came to me that it's probably time to update that. So by this time next year, there will be something that we produced. You can recall, and you'll see it next month. We did that for Women's History Month, Women of New Thought. And I'm going to be working with some of our wonderful and resourceful and creative and knowledgeable and smarter than me Open Heart Spiritual Center family, pulling the research together to do the next phase of this particular thing that you'll see the video of today. Speaking of next month, we know that March is Women's History Month, and what we have been doing, we've been celebrating that by having our speakers for the month. Many very powerful women speakers that will be a part of that. One thing that I like to emphasize is that there are other places that's the only time you might hear a woman speak would be during Women's History Month or Women's Day. But as you know, here at Open Heart, we embrace all people, and throughout the year, you will hear those voices. But it's a time that we especially focus on the voices that we will hear. We've got an exciting lineup. You will be seeing the announcements about who we have in store, and I've been in conversation with several of them who have agreed to do it, and I'm just looking forward to the messages that they're going to bring for us next month. And I'd also like to say that on today, at 11 a.m. Central Time, I will be the guest speaker at Unity Christian Church in Whitehaven, and the opportunity to be with our sister congregation there. I'm always excited about that, and I look forward to that. I know there's some people from Open Heart who have come out, so if you decide to do it, it'd be good to see you, and we know that will be taking place very soon. Would like to also say I've had the opportunity to talk with Cedric Moore. Cedric is still in Atlanta and wishes his Open Heart family well. Ask that you continue to pray for him. And also Charles Oliver, Reverend Dr. Charles Oliver, had an opportunity to speak with him. And he's also very pleased to hear from Open Heart family members. So let's keep them in mind. Thank you for all your gifts and the ways in which you support Open Heart. We again appreciate it as you get the message out. Share it with other people. Let them know that there's something that resonates with you that might resonate with them. Also, your financial gifts. Those are important for us to be able to do the things that we do and maintain the level of someone was, and I took that as a compliment, complimenting the way in which this Heartstream is put together. There are elements that go into making that happen. I said it before, and I will do it at some point. We'll make a video that shows you the process that goes into putting this Heartstream together each week. It's a labor of love, an opportunity to get the new thought, ancient wisdom out across the world. I greet you. I bless you. I see God in you.
Our affirmation for the month of February. My higher wisdom self. Intuition is truth, my truth. God is revealing itself through me, and I am guided by intuition as I make decisions and choices from this highest place. It is the feeling that all is well, even in the most dire experiences. I am easily comforted by my higher wisdom self because I know that it and it alone is the only truth I need to hear to be set free. Amen, Ashe, and so it is.
Today is a day like no other day. Just think and you'll know that it's true. Days like today should be holidays. So I'm singing this message to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Just have a happy day.
Let's take a minute and find out what's happening with Open Heart this week. and in the weeks to come. Here are your announcements. At Open Heart, we believe in the power of affirmative prayer. Each and every individual and family you see represented here, we continue to pray for you. Our prayer team each morning remembers you, and we hold the space for you, as well as all of you who are a part of our Open Heart family. There are several ways to give to Open Heart: through our Cash App at OHSC901, online at OHSC901.com, or text the word GIVE to 615-422-4290. Begin or continue your day with prayer through our daily affirmative prayer call every morning at 8 a.m. Central Time, 901-586-8755. On Sunday, February the 18th at 11 a.m., I'll be the guest speaker at Unity Christian Church, 3345 McCorkle Road in Whitehaven. It's an opportunity for another fellowship with our sister congregation. I told you last week about Jason Tejada, our music director, and his New Eclipse band performing on the Thacker Mountain Radio Hour, and now you can go and hear that performance by going to thackermountain.org and doing a search for New Eclipse Band and hear their wonderful performance. Congratulations again, Jason and New Eclipse Band. Join us for the 38th Annual Women of Achievement Celebration Ceremony on Sunday, March the 3rd, from 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. at First Congregational Church, 1000 South Cooper Street. There'll be 8 local women celebrated for change-making leadership. Tickets should be purchased in advance by going to womenofachievement.org or by calling 901-378-3866. Tickets are $30, and our own Judy Card and Carolyn Head would love to see you there. They are a large part of this organization and this effort. Black history is a part of history year-round, but traditionally in the month of February, we highlight the accomplishments of Black Americans and beyond. And courtesy of the Center for Spiritual Living in Dallas, we are featuring the pioneers and evolutionaries of science of mind. Hope you enjoy.
Here's a little-known Black history science of mind fact. Some of you might know that Founders Church of Religious Science opened in Los Angeles in 1960. But do you know it was designed by a Black man? Ernest Holmes asked Paul Revere Williams, the first African-American admitted to the American Institute of Architects, to sketch an idea for the building in 1957. Williams produced a sketch of an elliptical circle, and Holmes liked what he saw. To Holmes, the sketch was the perfect symbol for wholeness, unity, the unending and all-inclusive power of love. Williams designed many landmark buildings in Los Angeles, including the iconic LAX Airport Terminal. He was later named a Fellow by the American Institute of Architects, a high honor for his outstanding achievements. Another science of mind Black history fact also involves Los Angeles and a famous singer.
This God didn't make little green apples, and it don't rain in Indianapolis in the summertime.
You might recognize this song and this deep, sultry singing
There's
voice.
no such thing as Dr. Seuss, no Disneyland. Mother Goose is no nursery rhyme.
1969's best song, Grammy Award winner for Little Green Apples, celebrated vocalist O.C. Smith.
And when myself is feeling low, I think about a face aglow and ease my mind.
The talented Smith experienced several career highs that only the best musical dreams are made of. But even though Little Green Apples hit number 2 on the Billboard charts and sold more than 1 million records, the former vocalist for phenomenal band leader Count Basie knew deep down there was something more. Smith told an interviewer, "After the music success I had, I was still searching for something and didn't know what it was. I kept looking outside of myself, not realizing the reaching is in the soul, not outside." His life gained new purpose in 1980 when he and his wife Robbie Golson discovered Science of Mind. Introduced by Dr. Joseph Murphy of Laguna Beach, Smith finally heard what he had believed for so long: God as a metaphysical entity, one with all, belonging in each of us and uniting us if we wish to see the Almighty. Inspired by the powerful spiritual principles he internalized, Smith even started explaining the metaphysical meanings of songs during his concerts. Profoundly struck by Science of Mind, Smith gave up his music career to study divinity, and in 1985, Dr. O.C. Smith became pastor of the City of Angels Science of Mind Center in Los Angeles.
We must recognize beauty right where we are. That's why Dr. Ernest Holmes said, "There is not a spot where God is not."
He gained a reputation for mixing jazz with storytelling and for being a loving force of financial support to single-parent households, low-income families, and foster children. The church's City of Angels Foundation also provided dozens of scholarships to help students attend colleges across the nation. Dr. O.C. Smith and Paul Revere Williams, Black evolutionaries in Science of Mind.
Good morning, evening, friends. Here's your friendly announcer. I have serious news to pass on to everybody. What I'm about to say could mean the world's disaster, could change your joy and laughter to tears and pain.
It's love in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away.
Hate go around, breaking many hearts.
Stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Ooh, ooh. Oh, 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 oh.
Attention we must pay so we can make things better. Joining all together and rise above the madness.
We all must take time to enjoy life's pleasures, accepting all life's treasures. So please hear me when I say that love's in need of
breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Love in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away.
It's going around, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far. Yeah.
Love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away.
Hey, go round, breaking many hearts. Stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Love's in need of love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away.
See, it's going around, breaking. It's tried to break my heart so many times.
Stop it, please, before it's gone too far.
Use your hands, bring it down. Love is very peaceful, so bring it down below. Yeah, 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 yeah. Love, da da da, ba da da, ba da But the world is not.
It's gone too
But the world is not. It's a little love.
just give the world.
One day, a very good friend of mine called. She was excited, she was exhausted, she was perplexed, she was confused, she was all kinds of emotions were running through her. She called to tell me about a dream that she had that had brought all of this on. The dream was that she was a woman, an enslaved woman who was running through the woods trying to escape the slave hunters. And as she was doing so, she went through all types of brush and bramble and limbs and things that scratched her skin and she could hear the dogs following after her, and she just had all of these things going on. And she told me that when she woke up, that she was in a cold sweat, that she had actually had scars on her limbs, that she actually was really exhausted by this whole entire process. And she had this experience that she didn't know how to explain it, what it was all about, what was happening, but it was so vivid for her. It was so real to her. It was as if it actually had happened to her, although she knew that it had not been something she had experienced. And she was just puzzled, and she decided to call me and share the experience with me. That experience went on to become the opening of a novel that she wrote called Echoes of Mercy, Whispers of Love, that was about an enslaved woman named Mama Zoli, who had suddenly appeared mysteriously in, at that time, modern day Los Angeles back in the 1990s. And nobody could explain her story or how she maintained the fact that she had been a woman who had been enslaved in Mississippi. She had been trying to find her children. She escaped from the plantation that she lived on, and she was just trying to get her way back home, back to Mississippi. And that was the premise of the novel. And in that, she provided, Mama Zoli provided some really, really pertinent and relevant social commentary on the events of that day. As a matter of fact, it was set around the time of the LA riots, and there was a lot that happened with her. And my friend Elaine Ferguson, Dr. Elaine Ferguson, she's a physician, went on to publish that book and toured the country speaking about it, and a lot of other projects that she had. But that experience that she had was, for me, an example of what I'm here to talk about this morning: spiritual downloads. Now, I want to say that spiritual downloads may not be as dramatic as hers was, may not have all of that, but it is something that is a not trendy thing. You will hear people oftentimes talk about spiritual downloads, but it's not a trendy thing. It's not something that's the latest fad or anything, but it's something that's real. It's something that happens to all of us when we recognize that and when we become open to it. It's something that can have make a profound difference in our lives. And this month, as we're talking about being guided from and guided by our higher wisdom selves, I think that recognizing and acknowledging spiritual downloads, what they mean, how they happen, can be an important component in this whole process of what it means to live a life that is a part of this process, that is guided by and directed by spirit. So there's some things that can come about, some things that spiritual downloads provide for us. And that's what I'm here to talk briefly about this morning. And I think that when we talk about it, well, the question might be, well, what can a spiritual download do for me? I'm so glad you asked. First, one of the things that's suggested is that it can give us lightning fast access to higher information. It's wisdom that we might not otherwise be able to access or understand. There is a realm, there is a place that is beyond words, beyond description, where the information, the knowledge of the universe, if you will, is stored. And spiritual downloads can give us lightning fast access to that. And oftentimes we wouldn't be able to understand it or access it any other way. But when those downloads happen, when this information comes, when this knowing occurs for us, it gives us and provides for us. It's very high frequency communication because we're opening up a direct line to source. And what we say is expressed and filled with love. Our words, oftentimes, that come as a result of spiritual downloads, can be what other people need to hear. I know there are people that often will share their spiritual downloads with me. They'll send a text message or a meme or something else that expresses something that they have received from spirit, something that is guiding them and directing them, and that's meaningful for them. It can also bring about the idea or the way into make powerful decisions. Instead of waffling back and forth about what's the right thing to do, what direction should I take, what decisions should I make. We are there. It provides us with what it is that we need. As you remember me talking about vision, and I know the saying, the expression that not only does God provide the vision, but also provides provision or the means to get the vision done. And that's a part of the process, oftentimes, of spiritual downloads, that we make powerful decisions and then we have the ability to do what it is that we need to do to make it possible. It also can be heightened intuition and healing abilities that when they're in this state, and I'm going to talk about the flow state that is a part of this process, that we're in that process, we can hear in a way that we don't often hear, that we don't normally hear. It's that knowing, again, you know that you know that you know, that we have that heightened awareness and that ability, and our intuition comes forth in such a way, and even healing can happen as a result of this process. That when we find ourselves in a place where spiritual downloads are happening, it can bring about healing, can bring about healing on the psychological level, the spiritual level, the physical level, all ways it can provide us with what it is that we need to have and to experience in our lives. It also can bring about increased creativity. Increased creativity. I was reading the story about a woman who made pottery and how she used this process of spiritual downloads to lead her and to guide her and what it is that she is to create. And she would talk about oftentimes she would set the materials out before the kiln and she would take time and she would become open and she would center herself. And she said that other people who were around her that were in the same shop that she was in knew that this was a part of her process, and she would just wait and hear and listen until she felt, until she knew, and she would be guided and directed in what it was that she was supposed to do. And her creativity, her heightened awareness that was a part of that. And that's a very powerful part of spiritual downloads, that our creative life, our creativity, and all of us are creative. I think one of the mistakes that we make in life is that we think and consider certain people to be creative while others not so much. But the fact of the matter is we are creating all the time. We are creating with our thoughts. We are creating by the way that we experience and interpret and see the world. There's so many things that we are doing, so many things that are happening as a result of this. And spiritual downloads help us on this path of creativity. And it's so important that we get a hold of this and understand this. So I think that part of this, again, well, how do you ultimately have spiritual downloads happen in your life? Well, oftentimes they are spontaneous things. They just happen. We may find ourselves in a state where all of a sudden there's heightened awareness. We all of a sudden find that we have information that comes to us. It might be insight, it might be wisdom, it might be many other things that are a part of this process, but those things that come forth for us. And when we make them welcome, when we are open to them, we are in this process of flow. We're in this process of receiving spiritual downloads. I know for me, very often when it comes times for messages and pulling messages together, that information comes. I mentioned to you last week that I had initial insights that came forth, but then finally pulling the sermon, the message together was not so easy. But as a matter of fact, it just really was not coming to me. And ultimately, though, it seemed seemingly at the last minute, it all fell together. It all came to place. There were packets of information, if you will. And you think about, this whole process. We talk about downloads, and I know the title of this message is Downloads, Not Just for Computers. And we think about the process with a computer, that there's information that is downloaded. We can look at a place like the internet, information that is taken, and then it comes into our machine, our computer, if you will, and it's there, the information that is available to us, a program that will provide us with information, an operating system that puts things in place. But oftentimes It will come spontaneously. It will come maybe sometimes when we're not expecting it. It will come sometimes when we can get caught up in nature. We can get caught up in expressing gratitude. Gratitude is a great way, often, where we experience those spiritual downloads. Also, when we are finding ourselves experiencing trouble, when we are having pain, when we are perplexed, when we are feeling confused or frustrated or other things there, sometimes those spiritual downloads can come. They could be in the form of voices. I can remember very, very clearly many, many instances in my life where I've had an auditory experience of a spiritual download. I can remember standing in the sanctuary of the first church where I served, and I was very, very distraught. And there were some things that were happening in my life at that time. And very clearly, as I was standing there, it was on a weekday, no one else was there at the church, and I was standing there, and I heard very clearly the voice telling me that there's some doors that have to close in order for others to open. And that gave me a sense of peace, a sense of compassion. The same way when it came time to making a decision to organize Open Heart and all of the things that were involved in that and how my life changed as a result of that. And there was a very, very clear message that came to me in a moment where I was feeling, did I make the right decision? I know the pain that had caused family members and all of that, but there was that moment in which I got that assurance um, where moving on in the direction that I needed to move in. And again, spiritual downloads can be a part of that process. It also could be something we can intentionally seek out. Happens when we set intentions, when we set an intention to be able to hear, to be able to know. You recall the first message of this series where I talked about the whole process that happened with uh, Eli and Samuel, and how Samuel kept hearing himself being called. And so finally, when he was informed by Eli to just simply say, "Speak, Lord, your servant hears." Part of that, again, is setting an intention, becoming open, and making a declaration that you want something to happen. And so there's some questions oftentimes that we can ask, or affirmations we can use, that are a part of this process. What do I need to know right now? Is a powerful question to ask. That as things are happening, as things are occurring, what do I need to know right now? I could think about oftentimes when things are not going right and asking the question. I know that there is a lesson in this, and I want to see this lesson come forth now. I want some clarity, some purpose to know what it is that I need to do. Another affirmation we can use oftentimes is something like, "I'm open to a new perspective." I'm open to a new perspective. I'm not going to be trying to keep up the status quo or go with the same old, but I'm going to now be open to a new perspective, whatever it is, wherever it leads me, wherever it guides me, whatever it is, I'm open to this. I'm ready to receive fresh insight, fresh insight. Creating our own affirmations can be another way in which we set the intention to receive these spiritual downloads, which are very powerful things in our lives. Because you see, they provide clarity and guidance in navigating life's challenges. They unveil the divine connection that we all have. Again, remember this, we all have that divine connection. We all have the divine dwelling within us. I don't care. Oftentimes, other people will try to teach you that you have to be a certain way, act a certain way, think a certain way, but it is who you are. It is your divine birthright. It's something that you cannot deny. It is who you are. It's a part of you, and facilitating that divine connection helps us to understand that we are never, ever, never, ever, never, ever alone. Spiritual downloads have transformative power because they can help us make aligned decisions. They open our hearts and our minds to be open and available to so many more things that are available to us. So there are some types of downloads also that can happen for us. One, I started out describing at the beginning of this message, those are dream messages. And that's when we're asleep and our subconscious mind is open. And the things that will happen to us in the dream world, as we know, and you can look at many of the sacred texts from various religions around the world, or stories that are told a part of orature, the sacred traditions of many indigenous people that oftentimes pay respect to and talk about dreams and the power of dreams, and how so often the messages that we receive in dreams, the images that become available to us in dreams, the kind of ways in which we feel as a part of dreaming, that is a part of this download, this spiritual download process. And as we are able to understand and pay attention to and cultivate these things, and oftentimes people will recommend that you keep a journal by your bed so that if you have messages, often because, there's a really real process that when you're trying to make decisions, when you're trying to find out information before going to bed, set that intention, make that declaration. There are things I'd like to know. There's information I'd like to be able to access and obtain. There's information that is there for me, and declare that to the universe. Provide the avenue, if you will, for it to come forth as you do before you go to sleep. And then if insights and other things come to you, even if it's in the middle of the night, take a moment to write it down. I keep an app. There's an app on my phone. Very often I will put it in that app, but find some way to capture that information, because a lot of times I know for me that I will have these amazing downloads and amazing things that come forth in dreams. And sometimes by the time I wake up, it will have disappeared, particularly if I don't, as soon as I wake up, take the opportunity to write them down. That's important. There are also synchronicities. And synchronicities are those meaningful coincidences that happen in our daily lives. And they are signs, they are nudges, they are sometimes pop you over the head with things from the universe. But those synchronicities that so often happen, that's truly wonderful. And it's a part of that spiritual download process. It's a part of this divine connection and divine communication, which transforms our lives and provides us with the things it is that we need to do. And then finally, there are intuitive insights. Living in a way in which these intuitive insights provide for us the information that we need to know. These are, sudden flashes of information. This is knowing that comes from deep within, from a deep place. Very often, I found myself having that about people. There will be people that I encounter, people that I meet, and there are times when I will have information come forth. I will see things, and I'm not talking about necessarily from a psychic realm, but just awareness and an understanding, sometimes seeing and intuiting people's pain or their confusion or their frustration or their excitement and their enthusiasm, seeing them achieving dreams and having goals to be manifest in their lives, all of that. But those are some of the types of things that can happen for us, spiritual downloads. But it's a part of this process that is about living and living from our higher wisdom selves. And you might be asking or wondering why I think this is so important. I think that in this life, particularly in the times in which we're living, where there is war and there is division, we can look at the United States, and people keep talking about this being a divided country, a divided nation. And on many levels, there is division that's there. There's things that are happening. But I think on a more basic level, that we are all recognizing the fact and living from the perspective that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And right now, this human experience that we are having can be quite messed up. This human experience that we are having can be fraught with all kinds of difficulties and challenges and everything else. So it's about having touch and contact with the spiritual dimension that is in us. The spiritual dimension is that who we really are. That being able to assist us and help us to make it through these things and through these days. Because if you are paying attention, if you are being open and available to what is happening, and you see the agendas that are out there, you hear the kinds of things that are being said, you see the rhetoric that is there, you see oftentimes how the news and the information that we take in is skewed in certain ways to provide certain perspectives and have certain agendas. Then in all of this, there's something very often that is needed to be able to cut through and to wade through the BS and to be able to live lives that are rich, lives that are fulfilling, lives that are meaningful, lives that are powerful, but also that we can become change agents. That's right, we can become change agents. And you may recall back during the time when we were in the pandemic and we had a lot of the things happening with Black Lives Matter and in the aftermath of George Floyd losing his life tragically and all of the things that arose from that. And one of the things I talked about was being spiritual activists, where we don't try to spiritualize what is happening, but we address things and we take action and we move in the direction of things based upon our spirituality and our spiritual understanding. And spiritual downloads help to guide us in this process. Spiritual downloads bring perspective, it brings information, it brings what it is that we need to know into our lives and into our world and into our existence. It's a way in which we oftentimes can find that we remain sane, that we remain grounded and centered and rooted in the midst of everything else that is trying to pull us up. Think about, the line, everything that was nailed down is coming loose. And sometimes it feels that way, but there's solutions, there are opportunities, there are options, there are ways that we can remain grounded and rooted and centered. And spiritual downloads is one of those ways. So be open, be available, be aware, be in that place and space where you know that all is well and it is happening for you. Yes, my other message, the title, God is trying to tell you something. God, the universe, source, spirit, whatever else it is you may call it, is telling you something. Won't you listen? Won't you be open? And won't you know? Peace and abundant blessings. Amen. Ashe. And so it is.